Alright guys, Jameson and Alex here. Today we're going to be talking about the newly released Unearthed Arcana for the Travelers of the Multiverse, which appears to be a very big hint of the Spelljammer universe, apparently, because all of these things are, I guess, pretty big in the Spelljammer lore, because people were talking about the upcoming campaign settings. So that'll be interesting to see with all that. So with this Unearthed Arcana, we have 6 new race options, kind of following the lines of Tasha's, where you get 2 abilities, score points in one ability and another one of your choice. That seems to be the default now. They've switched over from that. It's a little bit more customization on each player side of things. But yeah, we have some new stuff on here, so we're going to go over that. Don't forget about the new giveaway with the D&D Beyond Players Bundle. Yes. We just finished the last round, starting the next round of that. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to make sure you're entered for that. But we'll jump straight into it. Alex, Astral Elf.
Astral Elf, and with the first couple races we see, they're kind of offshoots of what they sound like they are. There's just a couple things that change to make them unique. Astral Elf, medium, humanoid, 30-foot walking speed, dark vision, Fey ancestry that you get from being a regular elf, along with keen senses. So that's all kind of normal stuff. The
trance
stuff
as well.
And the base part of trance is there as well.
Yes.
So the new stuff, we'll actually try to take the time to go over here. Astral Fire gives you one of the following cantrips of choice: Dancing Lights, Light, or Sacred Flame. You can choose your spellcasting ability for it: Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma, which is great. Because, if you're playing Sorcerer, you don't want to be forced into an intelligence thing for Sacred Flame, or that'd be kind of bad. So that's great. Radiant Soul. When you succeed on a Death save, you regain a number of hit points equal to your proficiency bonus plus your Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma modifier. Again, your choice. And can't use a trait until you finish a long rest. So that's really interesting. So if you're actually knocked down to 0 hit points and you go to make a death save and you succeed on a death save, technically you're back up at that point.
Yep.
Once a day, you basically basically death ward, kind of, sort of. But there's delayed a turn.
It's to me, it's a slightly worse half orc trait.
Sure.
Because half orc, you're going to hit to 0 and you go back up to 1.
Yeah, so it's a wait a turn
and you make the roll at the end of your turn as well.
Yeah.
So
you do miss a turn.
You get more than 1 health.
Yes,
but not much. It's not going to make much of a difference, probably.
Yeah. But again,
it just fulfills the same role.
Yeah, it does. So, but it's cool and it done in an interesting way. I'm cool with it. And then finally, your trance proficiencies. Whenever you finish a long rest using your trance trait, you gain 2 proficiencies, each one with a weapon or a tool of your choice. You mystically acquire these proficiencies by drawing them from shared elven memories, and you retain them until you finish your next long rest. So let's just say, you didn't take proficiencies with a certain weapon type, and you come across a weapon that really fits something that you want to have. He's like, oh,
guess what?
I'm going to take me a nap here at the end of the day, and I'm going to now I have proficiency with this weapon that I wouldn't normally have otherwise.
Yeah, if there's really a specific martial weapon or something that you want to use that you don't have access to without multi-classing.
Yep.
Well, you can use it now.
You can now.
So that is pretty interesting.
Or if you come across, some thieves' tools, and you don't have a rogue in the party, and I was like, well, I can have access to thieves' tool proficiency, so we can pick locks and stuff.
Yeah, my thoughts on this class, or this, I always want to say class or subclass, because we do so many subclass videos.
Right.
On this race, if anything, I think most of it seems pretty straightforward. The Astral Fire, I think just being able to have access to a cantrip for damage, Sacred Flame for damage, could be a nice utility option for some martial classes.
Yeah, if you rogue monk specifically.
Yeah, outside of just a regular ranged weapon.
Yep.
Just to have that could be interesting. Because Sacred Flame does have a spell save as well as have an attack.
Yes.
So it might not be the best, stat-wise, but it gives you another option there.
Again, it's at least a chance at a ranged damage if you don't have it otherwise.
Right. And the only thing is with trance proficiencies, I don't know if that'll make it. I think it's maybe a little bit too good to be able to switch every day a weapon proficiency. It's really cool, but they seem very particular with giving certain things like that. I'm actually kind of surprised.
They might change that to 1, and it might be like a tool or a skill instead of a weapon.
Yeah, or maybe you get to choose a weapon proficiency and you just get one.
Yeah.
And you can't change it or something.
Could be.
Maybe, but I think being able to change it is it sounds really simple, but I think it's a little crazy because if you find some crazy item that no one can use,
all of a sudden now you can.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's why I think it might shift it to being a skill or a tool.
Yeah.
So that way it's specifically for RP purposes and not as much for combat.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised in that case. Yeah. But Yeah, that's that. Next, we have the Autognome. That's where things start to get a little interesting.
Yes.
Creature type, you are a construct.
Indeed.
So right off the bat, there are some implications just for that, but
Yes.
we'll get to that in a second. Size is small. Speed is 30 feet. Pretty standard. Armored casing, you are encased in metal armor. While wearing armor, your base armor class is 13 plus your dex. So you get like a built-in unarmored defense.
Yep.
Similar to, I believe, the Warforged had something like that. Well, no, it was in the Unearthed Arcana version of Warforged that they had that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They changed it to
it.
+1 bonus to your armor class.
Yep.
So they're we'll see if that makes it through, because they already stopped that from happening once. So
Well, and they even had like 3 different versions of it, depending on
yeah,
which version
yes,
of the
you could
Warforged
change
gave
it to
you
be, like,
different.
heavy or light.
Yeah.
That was cool. I liked that. But
Yeah.
they did change that.
No.
So we'll see if that makes it through.
Yeah, I actually had a sub race built into it, which is kind
Right.
of cool.
Built for Success is another ability you get. You can add a D4 to one attack roll, ability check, or saving throw you make. You can do so after seeing the D20, but before the effects are resolved. You can use this trait a number of times equal to proficiency bonus. Regain all uses on a long rest. So, a nice little mini inspiration.
Yeah,
essentially.
little baby bardic inspiration. Yep.
And then mechanical nature, resistance to poison damage and immunity to disease. You have advantage on saving throws against paralyzed or poisoned conditions. You don't need to eat, drink, or breathe. This is basically the same thing that Warforged get.
Yep.
See if it's the same. Immune to disease, advantage on being that. Yep, it's the exact same thing. They just called it something different. And then we have Sentry's Rest, also for Warforged. Take a long rest. You spend at least 6 hours in an inactive, motionless state instead of sleeping, but you aren't unconscious. So that's nice. Specialized Design. Also Warforged, but slightly different. You gain 2 tool proficiencies of your choice, whereas the Warforged gains a tool proficiency and an ability skill proficiency. So it is what it is, I guess, on there. If your game is run by a DM that really does tool proficiencies, that could be good. But if not, it's not the greatest thing in the world. And then lastly, True Life. This is where it's actually pretty important that they included this.
Yes.
If the mending spell is cast on you, you can expend a hit die, roll it, and regain number of hit points equal to the roll plus your Constitution modifier. And then the big thing here, in addition, your creator designed you to benefit from common spells, meaning even though you're a construct, you still can be healed by Cure Wounds, Healing Word, and Spare the Dying.
Yes.
Otherwise, that would be pretty annoying.
It'd be pretty terrible if you couldn't otherwise be able to
really,
heal yourself.
the benefit of True Life with mending is to help you avoid short rests. You won't need them as much.
Correct.
So if you have a way to gain mending as a cantrip, you can just heal yourself with that.
Yeah, or you make a really good friend with a caster in your group.
Right, or you do something like that. So that's a nice way to, maybe if you're trying to really trudge along, you can bypass a short rest and just have them cast mending on you, and you just expend your hit die that way if you're really in a rush.
Yes.
But if you have a warlock with your party, you're never in a rush. You're always trying to rest.
Yeah, they're all about the short rest. Next up is the Giff, the tall, broad-shouldered folk with hippo-like features. And I read that just so we get to the hippo part, because that's what is interesting. They're humanoid hippos.
Yes.
So, again, humanoid, medium, walking speed of 30 feet, nothing too crazy. And this is the really short ability block for all the races on this UA.
Yes, a little bit simple.
Damage dealer, like a hippopotamus in a crystal-ware shop. Of how instead of bull in a china shop.
Yes.
That's great. You are naturally adept at damaging things. When you roll a 1 on a damage die for a melee attack, you can re-roll the die and use the new roll. You can do so no more than once per turn. So this could be, if you're playing monk, it can be melee strike there, or if it's a weapon, any kind of melee-based attack, or even if it's a melee spell attack, it works. Any kind of melee attack. Just helps you keep your floor damage up. If you get that unlucky 1, you're like, nah, especially if it's, a D8 or larger D10.
Yeah.
It feels real bad when you roll a 1 on those. Not so much on 4s and 6s, but definitely on those 8s and 10s and on the rare 12. So cool to help your damage floor. And then Hippo Build, you have advantage on strength-based ability checks and strength saving throws. In addition, you count as one size larger, determining what you can carry, push, drag, pull, lift, all that jazz.
Right.
So not a ton of abilities there. I don't see any reason why any of that would be changed. The strength saving throw just having advantage on that built into is great, but other races have magic resistance, so it's not like one saving throw proficiency is just so absolutely bonkers, because it's not wisdom or dex or con, it's strength, which to me is probably the least valuable one. Because
Yeah,
outside of
probably.
grapples and and getting out of restraints, getting knocked down, there's not much other strength saving throws that exist in the game.
Right. The only thing I think with this that might be a little much, which probably not, I think it'll probably make it through unscathed, is potentially maybe like a grapple monk build.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're doing flurry of blows, you're attacking lots of times and being able. I mean, once per turn, you can reroll a 1.
Yeah.
But if you're making multiple attacks a turn,
Yeah.
you're gonna have more likelihood of doing that every single turn.
Sure.
Right. So, and then just if you're up in someone's face, punching them a million times, grappling them, you're right there. So why not?
Yeah.
So that might be an interesting kind of build on there. But strength is what it is.
Yes.
Not super common.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, even like a grappler, fighter, or barbarian probably wouldn't be the worst either.
Nope.
Barbarian's probably the least likely, just because with rage you're getting the bonuses with strength anyway.
Yep.
So it's not a big deal.
Yep.
But yeah, next we have the Hadozee. This is the only one I'm not sure how to say it. I tried to double check and I could not figure it out. So it's Hadozee or Hadozee. I don't know. Say in the comments down below. I'm not familiar with how to pronounce it. It's one of the words, one of those things where you've seen it written,
But until somebody actually tells you
don't
this is
know
how it's pronounced, you have no idea.
Sigil. Anyways,
That one.
So these are basically the monkey type humanoids,
But
they
they're
have-
not just regular monkeys.
Yeah, they got some membrane skin hanging under their arms and legs.
They're
they
they're
they
monkey
glide.
bats.
They're like the what are they? The sugar bear things?
Sugar gliders?
Sugar bear. What am I saying? Sugar gliders. Yeah, but like a monkey version of that, or like a flying squirrel, I guess. It's
Sugar bear would be like a gummy bear. That's a sugar bear.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Anyways, woo. So back to the normal things on here. And one thing, I totally forgot to. I have to say this because I totally forgot earlier.
What happened?
Rewind a little bit. Zoop, zoop, zoop. Back to the Autognomes. Before I forget, I meant to say this. One of the important things about being a construct, obviously you had the issues with the healing.
Yes.
But it's actually really good to defend from things like Charm Person or Dominate Person because they won't work on you because you're not a humanoid. You're a construct. So,
Nope.
Didn't want to forget to say that, so come back to where we were. Anyways, the Hadozee, or whatever
The flying
it's called.
monkeys.
Yes. Medium or small, choose the size. Walking speed is 30 feet, and a climbing speed equal to your walking speed
Makes
as well.
sense. You're a monkey.
Nice. Dexterous feet, you can use an object action as a bonus action.
I love that.
It is
That's
cool.
super unique. I love that.
And it doesn't always come into play that often, but
Yeah.
when it does, good
Cool.
on you.
Yeah.
And then glide. This is nice too. If you're not incapacitated or wearing heavy armor, so you still can wear light and medium armor, which is nice, you can extend your skin membranes and glide. When you do so, you can perform the following aerial maneuvers. When you fall, you can move up to 5 feet horizontally for every 1 foot you descend. So you're kind of gliding, which is what it's called.
Ta-da!
When you take fall damage from a fall, you can use your reaction to reduce the fall's damage to 0.
Yes. Makes sense. If you can glide, you should never take fall damage.
Right.
Makes sense.
But yeah, that's it on there. Definitely interesting, pretty simple. I like it, and I think it'll probably make it through unscathed as well.
I might want to give it one more thing. I don't know what it would be.
Yeah.
Because I feel like compared to how much the Astral Elf gets,
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
and the gift doesn't get much, but it gets more potent stuff. I feel like
It's kind of like a built-in feather fall that you can use all the time.
yes, because
now.
I mean there are other races that can just straight up fly. So just giving this one just
true.
glide is another problem with that. So I'm thinking maybe there's one more thing. I do love to use objects as bonus action just because that's unique, and I love unique things. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna have to think of that.
I wonder if you could break this. I just had the thought, is like, if you did a standing high jump, and then you just glided. You know what I'm saying? Just glide.
Sure, you can. Why not?
Just glide.
Okay.
And it's free. Is it free movement? Because you're falling. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Oh.
That might be something to think to
Indeed.
maybe think about on there.
Next
Yes.
up, we have the Plasmoid, and it is exactly what you think it is, and it even goes out of the way to say your creature type is an ooth.
Yes, this falls in the same category with the Autognome,
Yes.
having some benefits for certain spells.
Yes.
And it's not as bad as Fae, because Fae has things like detect good and evil, stuff like that that's
Yes.
involved in, but Ooze and the Construct
Yes.
aren't involved in those.
So it's good.
A little bit better.
Small or medium size, walk speed of 30 feet. Dark vision, you can hold your breath for an hour, which is great. Resistance to acid and poison damage, and advantage on saving throws against being poisoned, so that's fun. And then the two more specific things, amorphous. You can squeeze through a space as narrow as 1 inch wide, providing you are wearing and carrying nothing. You have advantage on ability checks you make to initiate or escape a grapple.
Love it.
We already know where Javeson's mind's going with this. And finally, we have Shape Self. If you are not incapacitated, you can reshape your body to give yourself a head, 1 or 2 arms, 1 or 2 legs, and a makeshift hand and feet. All right. Or you can revert to a limbless blob. No action required. So it's just loop. As a bonus action, you can extrude a pseudopod that is up to 6 inches wide and 10 feet long, or reabsorb it into your body. You can use the pseudopod to manipulate an object, open an unlocked door or container, stow or retrieve an item from an open container, or pour out the contents of a container. The pseudopod can't attack, activate magic items, or carry more than 10 pounds. So it's specifically only going to be useful for RP-related things.
Right. Now, I have many thoughts on this.
Oh, no.
If this makes it through unscathed, I will be surprised. There's a main reason for this.
Okay.
Here's the thing. They've tried to do this move through space as near as 1 inch thing before. They tried it with the fairy. They changed it to enlarge reduce. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The same issue, even though you can't be wearing or carrying anything to do it, it doesn't matter. Because you can shape yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I think it's kind of broken. The shape self, it says no action required to make your stuff out. To reshape giving yourself limbs or whatever.
Yeah.
So you literally, think about this. You find a little crack in the wall.
Find a crack in the wall.
You have your armor and your weapon, your bow, your sword, whatever.
Yep.
End of your turn, you ooze into the crack. You just let all your armor and stuff clang to the ground.
Yep.
I mean, it's better to not have armor. You want to be like a monk or something.
Well, that's better. That's the step I was going to go to next.
You can't don and doff armor easily.
But
you can doff armor, I guess, because you can doff it.
You can doff it.
It's
you
kind
can
of like a
don
GM
it. You can't put it back on. It's the issue.
So you'd want to have something that doesn't wear armor, for example.
Monk, barbarian.
Right.
Yes.
Wizard, sorcerer.
Because you can't anyway, even if you wanted to.
Right. You just be a naked blob casting spells, pretty strong, and then you just go into a crack in the wall. Nothing's gonna hit you. Nothing can hit you. Nothing can do anything to you while you're in a hole in the wall. Yeah, they can try to blow up the wall, which of course that's possible.
AOE spells, yes, but like if somebody tries to like physically attack you, they basically can't.
But even say you're a monk or something, and you have like a short bow.
Yeah.
And that's it. You know, or I mean, I guess even a barbarian. You can even be a barbarian. You don't wear armor.
Yeah.
So you drop your axe or your bow or whatever on the ground. You go through a little bit into the wall. End of your turn. Start your turn. You come out. You use your free action to pick up your weapon, and you attack with it.
Yeah.
And then end of your turn. This is why this never makes it through to testing, I think. Yeah. That's the biggest issue. They're trying to find ways. Maybe if they make you use a bonus action or an action to change your form,
or
that could work around.
Make it take a minute.
Yeah. Then it makes it without a doubt RP.
Yeah, because it forces you. It just takes time for you to do it, and that time constraint alone will let you do it in combat like that. I think that's all it would take, is make it take a minute to do.
Right.
Which, I mean, because if you're in RP settings, fine.
Yeah. I still think the amorphous thing is just, it's so hard. It's such a cool concept.
Sure.
But mechanically, it's very difficult to balance.
It's problematic.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, there's my 2 cents on that one. I love the concept, but I don't know how they can do it and make it balanced.
Right.
Because people always want to take advantage of stuff. It's always, and that's the thing we bring up with a lot of subclasses that have, even where you can pass through walls and stuff, the same issue comes up. But those are usually high level abilities. This is level 1. You have something where you can just go into a wall.
Yes.
So, is what it is. Lastly, we have the Thri-kreen.
Yes.
Thri-kreen.
Just putting words on here that are easy to pronounce is just too fun for them, isn't it?
Right. Creature type is monstrosity. So
that's also interesting.
That is interesting for sure. There might be a little bit more issues with monstrosity. I don't think there's any major things. Because most of the stuff is like Fey, Fiend, Undead, like Detect Good, Detect Evil, stuff like that, or Dispel.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of things that are going for like monstrosity.
Yeah, elemental Celestial Celestial gets hit by some stuff.
Celestial,
it's
good. Celestial Fiend,
yeah. Detect good stuff. Yeah.
I don't think monstrosity has much. Let us know down below if you can think. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that deals specifically towards or against monstrosities. But anyways, your size is medium or small, chosen when you select. 30-foot movement, chameleon carapace. While you aren't wearing armor class 13 plus dex,
Just like the Autognome. Yep.
Yeah. As an action, you can change the color of your carapace to match the color and texture of your surroundings, giving you advantage on stealth checks made to hide in those surroundings, which is kind of cool. You can kind of like blend in.
Yep.
Like
makes sense.
Predator style.
Yep.
Dark vision, of course, which is nice. Secondary arms. You have two slightly... Okay. I have thoughts on this. Secondary arms.
See, this is the one I was expecting you to have the most thoughts on.
Two slightly smaller secondary arms below your primary pair of arms.
Yep.
The secondary arms function like your primary arms with the following exceptions. You can use a secondary arm to wield a weapon that has the light property, but you can't use a secondary arm to wield other kinds of weapons. Sure. You can't wield a shield with your secondary arm.
But you can with the primary arm.
Right. And you can still hold weapons in your other arms.
So yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So I think we're going to be on the same page with this. Anyways, we'll continue on. Sleepless revitalization. You do not require sleep, and you can choose to remain conscious during a long rest, though you still refrain from strenuous activity to gain the benefit of the rest. So yeah, it's kind of like this Sentry thing, basically. You just remain conscious. Then lastly, the Thri-kreen telepathy. You have this magical ability to communicate mentally with any number of willing creatures you can see, important, within 120 feet. Contact a creature doesn't need to share a language with you, but it must be able to understand at least one language. Pretty normal with telepathy stuff.
Yes.
Your telepathic link to a creature is broken if you and the creature move more than 120 feet apart, if either of you is incapacitated, or if either of you mentally breaks the contact with no action required. So yeah.
Which is my favorite ability on there, for sure. I like the whole, hive mind aspect, because it's a bug, so I like it.
Thoughts on the ability, Alex?
I assume we're thinking of the same concept on the secondary arms. It says, well, you can't use your shield in your secondary arm, but you can carry two in your two primary arms. Is that something you were thinking of? That's the first thing I thought of when I read this earlier today, was that, so I can quad wield here. I could have two light weapons in my small hands and carry a pair of shields in my big hands.
Yeah.
And be like, you can't hit me. It's the first thing I thought of.
There is some stipulation, I think, because they say same effects don't stack. So that would probably fall in with the double shield.
Probably.
But you could definitely make an argument for partial cover. or like half cover or something, because you have like a wall in front of you.
Yeah.
Or you could like carry two shields and like stick one in the ground.
And hide behind it.
And hide behind it, then partial cover. Yep. So there's like some cheeky stuff you could try to get away with if your DM lets you.
Yep.
Though you don't want to be that guy,
The other option I think of is it says your second arm can wield a light weapon, but it can't use second arm to wield any other kind of weapon. But could you make an argument for getting around the loading property of a crossbow or a bow because you've got an extra hand to like load the sucker faster? So like while you're pulling the bow back like this, as soon as you let go, your other hand is literally putting an arrow up in this hand. Like you can load a bow so fast.
Yeah.
So like there's an argument there because of that mechanic. You could, because it takes time to load the thing. I don't care. You got four hands.
Yeah. It definitely could have some issues.
It creates some interesting DM conversations and gray area conversations, what you can do and can't do with those extra hands.
Right. And I think the only thing, too, is if you can't do anything different with the extra arms, what is really the point of them?
Right.
Like, I can hold 4 weapons.
But you can't attack with all 4 of them.
Right. I guess,
I
don't know. It's just kind of strange to me.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing is it does lend itself immediately to being like, okay, sword and shield plus an extra weapon. So you could like bonus action attack with the light weapon.
Yeah, or that's true. I guess you could have like light weapons, like dual wield, and then you could hold like, I don't know. If you don't care about the shield, then you could just hold like a greatsword. Yeah. So you could have, or like a longbow or something. Yeah. So you could have like a bow, and then like if you're close, that way you don't have to like stow. And stuff.
Or you can always have like thrown weapons. You got some kind of like throwing daggers or something in your hands. You're just like chuck.
You can have some utility to have. You're not having to.
Because
you start getting to the stowing and
to me you can, even if your DM was specifically strict about stowing and swapping weapons, you can completely ignore that. mechanically because you've got extra hands to hold. You're not having to like
Right.
sheath the weapon. You're like, oh, I'm going to take my bow and put my bow in my little hands, and my bow's just going to hold the little hands. It's not going to wield it. It's just holding on to it.
Right.
And then I put the sword and shield in this hand now that I'm in melee range.
Right.
Like, okay, now nothing's in my melee range. Swap weapons to the other hands
You
and
wouldn't
fire
even
the
need
bow.
to. You could just fire it. You wouldn't even need to swap.
It's light. It's not a light weapon.
I
So
guess.
unless it's the
Well, that's why you just always keep your light stuff.
yeah.
on the
So
little
something
hands.
like even if you didn't want to take advantage of that, you could be able to just to hold other weapons right there on the hands. It's just swapsies. Okay.
Yeah,
Go.
right. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I
Yeah.
like the concept of it for sure.
Yes.
Definitely very interesting. But yeah, I think we'll see if the creature types get through. I feel like there's not really that much to worry about with the creature types. The only thing is like charm person,
Yeah.
dominate person. It makes you
Immune to them.
Yeah, basically, you just can't target by them.
Yeah.
So that is one thing, but I don't really think there's too many huge things having a different creature type. They have been hesitant to do it though, so we'll see if it does come through. But yeah, I mean, definitely some very interesting options on here.
Sure.
Very flavorful, if anything. We'll see
Yes.
how much actually makes it through to final form.
Yep.
But
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the easiest fix for the whole Plasmoid thing is just making it take a minute to swap forms to go amorphous.
Yeah.
Because then it makes it where it can only be used in RP. Because if it's, like I said, if you can be used in combat, people are going to abuse the ever-loving snot out of that.
yeah, and if you're like a monk, you don't even care about drop. You don't have to drop anything. You're just using your fists anyway.
Uh-huh.
So it just makes you that even that much more good in close range. But yeah, definitely some awesome stuff on here. Let us know your thoughts down below. What you think might not make it, what will make it, all that down below.
What else would you give the Hadozee?
Yes,
Because I think it needs
thoughts.
one more little something.
Yeah, maybe something for the gift too.
Yeah, I think the Giff needs one more like RP based thing.
Yeah, because it's very
Because
much
outside of that, it's just
I mean, you get your strength-based ability checks, but
which is only
there's not really a whole lot that it's going to be really used
I'm
in.
drawing a blank. It's just athletics.
Yeah, I think
It's only one.
I think it is just athletics.
Yeah, so you get advantage on athletics checks and like grapple
like
things.
straight strength checks
Yeah.
for something too, if it's something.
So if they one more little RP thing, yes, they get the swimming speed, but if there was one more thing they could get, instead of just being big and carry heavy things,
Yeah.
because they could do that.
But yeah, we'll try to give you there.
Yes.
But yeah, that's it, guys. Let us know all your thoughts again.
Mhm.
Always love to read it through that stuff. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe for that giveaway stuff, and
Yes.
hit the notifications so you know when our new videos are coming out. And as always, thanks for watching.